Hello and welcome, my name is Chris from christopherhole.com, and in this video we're going to be talking about runner's knee, or as it is otherwise known as patellofemoral pain syndrome. And this is all to do with the tracking of the patella. So we're just going to look at the patella to start with, and as you can see it's the kneecap. It sits on the front of the knee, which is the hinge joint, and then what it's got all of the four quadriceps join into it. So you've got the vastus medialis down through here, you've got the rectus femoris and the vastus intermedialis, which sits underneath the rectus femoris, and you've got the vastus lateralis, which joins in onto the outside. They all join in through their tendons, which go through and sort of around the patella, and then it goes down here onto the tibia, onto the shin bone, which is the little bony bit at the front just below the kneecap, and that's where it will join on. So if you want to sort of have a play around with your kneecap and your shin bone, you'll be able to find all those different points. Now, runner's knee can come from many different sources, but mainly, if we just go back, it's to do with the tracking of the patella. So what we want to be able to do is to track the patella correctly. Now, it can be, if the quadriceps aren't balanced, that can influence how it tracks. So if you've got either over tightness in the vastus lateralis and let's just say a little bit of inactivity in the vastus medialis, that's obviously going to pull it slightly to the outside, which is going to affect the tracking, and then you'll get a certain pain around the patella. So you've got, if the quadriceps aren't balanced, you've also got high arched feet don't offer much in the way of cushioning. So they'll be quite sort of, let's just call them tense and stiff feet. So when your foot hits the floor, all the shock from the impact will go up through the tibia and into the patella, and that'll affect how the quadriceps work and how how eventually the patella tracks. And then finally, flat feet can pull the knee in, and then the patella will move sideways accordingly. So if you can imagine, your knee and your foot are supposed to be aligned. If your foot falls in, your knee will fall inside of that plumb line, and that again will pull on the patella, which will affect how the patella tracks. So what you've got is a couple of different ways of treating it. Obviously, the initial treatment is to rest, a little bit of self-massage, and stretching. So stretching of the whole of the leg, so the hamstrings, the quads, and the calf and the gastrocnemius. And you'd probably be worth, depending on if you've got high arch feet or flat feet. If you've got high arch feet, start stretching out the feet and start to relieve a little bit of tension in those. If you've got flat feet, obviously what you want to be doing is looking at managing how you can managing your flat feet, so working on hip muscles and positioning of the knee, so looking at biomechanics. So there's different ways of initially treating it, but when we start looking at long-term prevention, what we've got to do is balance the muscles of the leg, so balancing the muscles of the quads, the calves, the hamstrings. So looking at stretching, foam rolling, and then eventually looking at improving the biomechanics of the whole system, so the feet, the knees, and the hip. So we're looking at, is the knee tracking the foot? Is the knee falling inside the foot? Because what we want it to do is we want the knee to track the foot. So if you were to send a plumb line down from your hip, it wants to basically be a nice straight line. Everything's nice and aligned, and mechanically it's starting to work a little bit more sound. Obviously then that would then move into the mechanics of running itself, and then eventually what we would then get to is start looking at sort of running technique, forefoot running, heel strike running, benefits, drawbacks of either, and the effects of forefoot running, so on and so forth. But that's for future videos. What we're looking at the moment is what runner's knee is, which is to do with the tracking of the patella, and then different ways and different avenues that we can explore to overcome it. So we've got balancing the quads, balancing the hamstrings, and balancing the calves using stretching, strengthening, and foam rolling. And then we've got high arch feet, which is releasing tension in the feet to absorb some of the impact, because if they're really stiff, they're not going to absorb the impact. And then flat feet is starting to think about hip mechanics and being able to align the hips, the knee, the ankle, and the foot whilst walking and running. So many thanks for watching. My name is Chris. I'll be putting up future videos of all of this, and if you click the link below, it will go to a page where you can get more information on runner's knee, maybe some more videos and stretches and exercises and so on and so forth. But other than that, thank you for watching. My name is Chris from chrisforhull.com. I will speak to you in a future video.